about 10 days, Ross is gonna throw him away. I'm gonna be real with you, Meech. If Rick Ross seeing what he did to you, because he knew what he was doing standing on the side of him, right?
Welcome to Star Spill, where Hollywood's secrets unravel, scandals explode, and drama never sleeps. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button so you never miss the latest buzz. Let's get started.
I've seen a lot of posts about the Big Meech concert getting canceled. What I'm not seeing is anybody blaming Rick Ross for this shit. Nobody is saying, yo, Rick Ross, it's your fault.
Rick Ross just pulled one of the slickest moves in hip-hop history, but Big Meech is the one paying the price. The streets are buzzing, and everyone's talking about the unexpected twist in their story. What started as the ultimate redemption arc has turned into one of the coldest betrayals the game has ever seen. Big Meech came out of prison looking like a boss, fresh fit, big plans, all eyes on him. He linked up with Rick Ross, the so-called biggest boss in the business. Social media was on fire, posts, movie talks, major business moves. It looked like the perfect comeback. But now, everything's fallen apart. The comeback concert? Scrapped. The $1 million deals? Gone. His family? Struggling to keep it together. And Rick Ross? Ghosted him, vanished when Meech needed him the most.
This party is canceled until
We're about to break down exactly how Rick Ross went from riding for Meech to becoming his biggest problem. When you see what really happened, you'll understand why Meech snapped, and honestly anybody would. But let's back it up. Have you noticed something shady about Ross lately? That sudden shoulder injury? The way he dodges every question about Meech? That's where the real tea starts spilling. While the internet was hyping up the beef between Big Meech and 50 Cent, something way bigger was happening behind the scenes. And guess who just stepped in? 50 Cent himself. He reposted something straight from an insider, someone who knows both Meech and Ross personally. This isn't some fan theory or made-up drama. The truth about Ross' snake moves is finally coming to light, and nobody saw it coming.
I've seen a lot of posts about the Big Meech concert getting canceled. What I'm not seeing is anybody blaming Rick Ross for this shit. Nobody is saying, yo, Rick Ross, it's your fault.
What looked like support from Rick Ross was actually a calculated setup, a way to keep his name hot in the game. Think about it. What better way to stay in the spotlight than jumping into a long-running feud between two legends? Word on the inside. Ross had this whole play planned the moment he heard Big Meech was getting released. He wasted no time. Hit up Meech right away, acting like he had his back. Ross came in smooth, hyping him up with big promises. He pitched a massive welcome back concert, claiming it would help Meech raise the money he desperately needed after nearly 2 decades behind bars. The man did 15 years, just trying to rebuild his life. But Ross? He only saw clout and cash. And when things blew up in Meech's face, it wasn't a small spark, it was a full-blown explosion. That's when 50 Cent, who's actually been holding Meech down for years, stepped in and exposed the whole thing.
Because when we was on the internet talking about the Cuffy case and all that, nobody even really gave a fuck. But now 50 talking about that shit, and everybody listening. Everybody listening, you heard? So, I just want to say, or I want to ask you, did you think that shit was a good idea in hindsight? Do you think it was a good idea?
Now, here's where it gets really shady. According to Zip, an insider with deep industry ties, Ross was pulling strings behind the scenes to shut the concert down, and then had the nerve to let 50 Cent take the blame. All while keeping his hands clean. If that's not next-level manipulation, what is?
How you let that nigga get the show canceled in Florida, B? That's kind of diabolical, you heard? 50, that's some bullshit. How you let the nigga get the show canceled in Florida? Let's get to that.
But wait, Zip didn't stop there. He dropped even more explosive receipts that'll leave you stunned.
Oh, yo, he never ratted on nobody here fishing. What? Jailhouse full of paying rent. That never ratted, wouldn't dare rat. But they butt. What is you talking about here fishing? That don't make you solid cause you ain't rat. You shouldn't get no credit cause you ain't rat. You wasn't supposed to rap. You don't get no check on his resume cause he ain't rap.
You wasn't supposed to rap. No check on his resume, cause he ain't snitch. Ross hyped up Meech's never-fold reputation like it made him some kind of hood legend. But Zip? He's saying it was just a quiet street rule, not some badge of honor. He even questioned the whole idea of building a brand off not snitching. Because let's be real, staying silent doesn't automatically make someone a hero, but here's what Zip didn't mention, that there's actual evidence. Witnesses talking about shady deals Meech might have made to cut his sentence. And we're about to break it all down. Right now, while Meech is struggling, betrayed, boxed out by both Ross and 50 Cent, Rick Ross is out here hyping up his latest project. That's right. Boss Token.
See what I'm doing right now? My shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still counting paper. This ain't a pump and dump, baby. We bossing all the way up. Get the address to the Boss Token.
Now ask yourself, was Rick Ross ever really in Meech's corner? Or was Meech just another pawn in Ross' playbook to stay on top? Here's where things get real sketchy. That sudden shoulder injury Ross popped up with? It showed up right when the drama with Meech started heating up. Convenient, right? But that's not all. While Meech's family is reportedly struggling just to keep the lights on, Ross has been flexing. Luxury car shows, coast to coast, charging fans thousands for VIP access like it's nothing. And now? People are talking. From Atlanta to Miami, the whispers are getting louder. This ain't just business. Between Boss Token and these flashy car shows, folks are starting to believe Ross is running straight-up scams. Plenty of people are already claiming they lost money with nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, Ross is out here acting like it's all smooth sailing. But that shoulder injury? Word on the street is Big Meech himself might have had something to do with it. Now hold up, we're not saying it did happen. But after everything Ross pulled? It wouldn't be a shock if Meech finally snapped. 15 years locked up, only to be played by someone who posed as a friend? That kind of betrayal hits different. But don't run with that just yet. Because there's another theory floating around, and honestly, it makes even more sense when you look at how Ross moves. What if that whole injury is fake? What if Ross is playing hurt as a sympathy stunt to dodge the backlash from ditching Meech? Think about it, distraction tactics. While the streets start asking real questions, Ross flips the script. Playing hurt to change the narrative? That's classic. And when you take a closer look at Rick Ross' history, especially that whole mess with the Larry Hoover benefit concert back in 2022, the pattern becomes clear. Ross has done this before. That event? It was supposed to be about justice, freedom, and real awareness. A movement. But Ross? He saw an opportunity. He dropped Larry Hoover's name in his music, knowing exactly what he was doing, using a legendary figure to push ticket sales and boost his own relevance. But as soon as things got complicated, poof, Ross was gone.
The Rick Ross concerts scheduled for Charlotte and Greensboro this weekend have been canceled. Yesterday, you may remember we told you about threats that the rapper received, which had made some fans a little anxious.
Vanished. Didn't own up to the chaos, just tossed his own team under the bus. In an interview, Ross said, "I cancelled the rest of the tour." The promoter wasn't really handling his business. He cancelled a date of mine. I was going to Tucson, Arizona. Then I woke up and saw 2 more dates were cancelled. I felt like that was some power I needed to take away from the homie. So, let's get this straight. The headliner didn't know his own show got scrapped? That doesn't add up. How do you not know your own name got pulled from a lineup you're leading? And here's the kicker. Ross pulled something eerily similar back then, just like he's doing now with Boss Token. All flash. No follow-through. Every time the heat shows up, Ross disappears or blames someone else. I'm a certified man. I'm a real boss. Gangsters move in silence. That's what Rick Ross told the world. But let's be honest, it's starting to sound more like he's covering up deep insecurity than speaking facts. Because shortly after all that tough talk, the real story leaked. Insiders say Larry Hoover himself, the actual head of the Gangster Disciples, wasn't happy about Ross using his name in a track without permission. And what did Ross do? Denied it. Lied. Like he always does. He told the media, anybody that didn't know anything about Mr. Hoover, that's why I put him in my song. It's all about support, it's all about coming up. I was just in Chicago a week and a half ago, the birthplace of the GDs. If I can handle business in Chicago, I got no problems in North Carolina. But here's the real question. If Ross could disrespect Larry Hoover and walk away untouched, why would Big Meech think Ross would treat him any differently? And this next part. It takes the betrayal to a whole new level. The man who turned his back on Big Meech. He built his entire rap career on a lie.
His name is Rick Ross, but not only that, this Rick Ross claims that his whole identity was stolen. Peep the beard, peep the bald hair, the selling stuff.
And that's when the whole image fell apart. The street boss persona Ross had been selling? Fake. The man who claimed to run Miami's underworld. He was actually working for the government.
Here's where things start to get wicked. Secrets start getting spilled. Rose says, Your Honor. Judge says, are you a kingpin? A Bausch, if you will. Rose said, no. The crowd goes, The judge said, the crowd goes silent. He goes, so what were you before you were a rapper? Rose goes, a corrections officer.
Yeah, the same dude acting like he was deep in the trenches. He was actually a corrections officer, locking people up while building a rap image off street tales that weren't even his. And even after getting exposed, he still won in court. That's why some folks in the game seriously believe Rick Ross might be a fed, sliding through hip-hop, collecting info, and feeding it back to the system. Maybe that's why Ross keeps picking fights with 50 Cent and other artists. Not just for clout, but to stir up drama, get folks talking, maybe even catch somebody slipping. Chaos is his playground. And this is the man Big Meech decided to trust? That was a red flag, waving wild in the wind. And what did Meech do when it smacked him in the face? Nothing. He ignored it. Even after the whole industry saw Ross drop the Larry Hoover cause the moment it got too real, Meech still gave him the benefit of the doubt. After 15 years behind bars, you'd think he'd develop a sharp instinct for snakes. But instead, he got caught. Up in a trap wrapped in fake loyalty and empty promises. And the real shocker? It's not just what Ross did, it's what Meech gave up to ride with him. Because Meech already had 50 Cent in his corner. A man who actually stood by him while he was locked up. 50 didn't just talk, he put up real money. Kept Meech's name alive. And flipped the BMF legacy into a whole TV empire. He introduced Meech to an entirely new audience, one that had never even heard the name before. And this wasn't just for show. Sources close to both men say, 50 Cent Meech's family money. He visited him quietly, without cameras, without publicity. He was making real plans, real moves, business that would have changed Meech's life the moment he came home. And then, just days before Meech started linking up with Ross, 50 Cent and Tony Yayo pulled up to visit him. They congratulated him. Broke bread. Laid out serious business plays worth millions. But Meech? He walked away from all of that, for Rick Ross. And now? He's paying the price.
You know what's crazy? We went to Meech's house, we sat down with him, Lil Meech, and I thought, big things in the future was coming.
It was all set, then Rick Ross came sliding in. Talking big, making promises, claiming he was about to throw a celebration in Meech's honor. But let's keep it real, that wasn't no genuine welcome party. That was a calculated move. A power play. Ross didn't show up to lift Meech up. He came to hijack the spotlight, to flip the narrative in his favor. He saw the perfect opening, the chance to hit 50 Cent right where it hurts, the BMF legacy. Think about it, 50's been cashing in heavy on Big Meech's story. So when Ross, his longtime rival, swooped in with offers of a flashy concert and movie talks, that wasn't no welcome gift. That was a setup. A move to poison the whole well.
I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
Ross wasn't just trying to celebrate Meech, he was trying to snatch the BMF brand right out of 50's grip. And Meech walked right into it. He fell for the flash over the facts. So when 50 Cent saw Meech pop up next to Ross, he lost it. And who could blame him? The Queen's legend clapped back hard, straight to Instagram, no filter. He called Big Meech a snitch and posted receipts.
Posted a picture of a rat, throwing shade with that savage caption, "I think I'm Big Meech." A direct shot at Ross's 2010 anthem BMF, no room for subtlety.
Let's be real, 50's never been the type to bite his tongue. And he wasn't about to start now. Some folks tried to spin it, maybe Ross actually had good intentions. Maybe his obsession with making that BMF movie pushed him to cozy up, hoping Meech would co-sign the project. But even if that was the plan, it was dead before it even started. Everybody in the industry knows, 50 Cent owns the rights to the BMF story. Without his sign-off, Ross couldn't film a single scene. So this wasn't just a bad move, Meech. torched the only bridge that had actually kept him standing. He ditched the one real one, the dude who held him down for years, just to chase glitz and promises from a guy with a track record of smoke and mirrors. If that ain't textbook self-sabotage, then what is? And instead of owning up to the L and making it right with 50, Meech doubled down. Dropped some dry, obviously scripted statement that fooled no one. No real apology, no accountability. Just recycled loyalty talk that fell flat after everything he did.
Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big. I can feel it. I'm just talking.
I never folded, never told, never will. Death before the time.
50's the GOAT. If 50 doesn't f with you, I don't f with you. But I just don't know why yet. But he's never wrong. If he doesn't like you,
Right.
there's a reason.
I'll never fold. Really, Meech? You literally folded on the one dude who kept your name alive for 15 straight years. The timing couldn't have been worse or more obvious. The streets saw it. The industry saw it. And 50 Cent. He saw it coming a mile away. Even people who normally stay neutral, like Andrew Schultz, are saying, 50 never misses when it comes to beef. And now? Here comes the plot twist no one expected. Because in this game, if 50 don't F ** with you, I don't F ** with you. Asterisk, and people are starting to wonder, why did Meech